Hi, this is James of FluentGreek.nt.com, the missing piece in New Testament Greek learning. Are you excited by the idea of learning to read the Greek New Testament, but don't know how to make that a reality? Then you've come to the right place. In this series, I'm covering the most important things you need to learn Greek, which are motivation and good study habits. If you've missed the two previous videos in this series, I'll provide links to them in the description below. This video covers how to install good habits in your life. I'll be sharing the best habit-forming techniques from two excellent books, B.J. Fogg's Tiny Habits and James Clear's Atomic Habits. By combining the insights from these books with my biblical Greek reading program, FluentGreek, you'll be well on your way to achieving fluency in the language. I'm going to start out with the idea of smallness, since both authors include this in their title, which, by the way, shows you how fundamental smallness is to habit formation. And the reason is simple. Habits are all about consistency, and the way to achieve consistency is to make it easy. Language learning can be daunting. Don't overwhelm yourself. Most people start out way too big, and they start to miss sessions, then they get frustrated, then they quit. Start out with something as small as maybe 5 minutes to study a day. Once you've developed consistency with that, increase the time or maybe the frequency or both. The key is to balance keeping your study habits manageable with making enough progress to achieve fluency in a reasonable amount of time. So there's two concepts at play here. So if you'll recall from the motivation video, motivation is the force driving you to act. And you can think about the difficulty of your habits as maybe an opposing force. So in Fogg's book, he graphs motivation against difficulty and draws an action line. So basically, if your motivation is greater than the difficulty of your habits, you'll act. If it isn't, you won't. The second idea, again from the motivation video, is that motivation includes a time component. So delays decrease your motivation. So while you want to start out small, you do have to eventually increase your time, or else you'll cause too many delays and give up hope, essentially. So you need to build up towards a level where you're feeling like you're making consistent progress towards fluency. Next, I'll talk about the ABCs of habits: anchor, behavior, and celebration. You don't want to leave your habits up to chance. You want to tie them, you want to anchor them to something you do every day without fail. So for example, getting out of bed, eating breakfast or lunch, or brushing your teeth, things like that. So for example, you could say, after I brush my teeth, I'm going to pull out my phone, go to FluentGreek.nt.com and read 5 Greek sentences. Or you might say, after I get out of bed, I'll study Greek grammar for 5 minutes. If you're going to do that, leave your textbook by your bed. That way you have a reminder and it's easy. So that's the A and the B. After your behavior, you want to celebrate. Basically give yourself a pat on the back or whatever's meaningful to you. You want to create a positive association with the behavior. Another way to create a positive association is to do something fun immediately after, or something you enjoy, maybe like have a cup of coffee. So for example, your ABC could be, after I get out of bed, anchor, I'll study Greek grammar for 5 minutes, behavior, and then I'll have a cup of coffee to celebrate. So those are the ABCs. Next, you have to create habit chains. So learning a language isn't just one skill, there's actually multiple. So there's learning the alphabet, how to pronounce the alphabet, learning the meaning of words, Greek grammar, and so on. So you don't want to create separate ABCs for each one of these. Instead, you want to create 2 or 3 habit chains. So for example, you could do, after I get up out of bed, anchor, I will study Greek grammar for 5 minutes, behavior 1. Then I'll read 5 Greek sentences, behavior 2. And then I'll have a cup of coffee to celebrate. So that's habit chains. Habits are important enough that I built a habit app into FluentGreek. So after you've signed up, you can enter the tasks you're currently working on, and they'll appear on your dashboard on the home page. After completing the tasks, they'll disappear for the day, and on the next day, they'll tell you how many days in a row you've completed the tasks. Basically, the goal is to keep streaks going and never to miss more than 1 day in a row. However, if you find that you're missing too many days, that means you need to reevaluate your habits. Maybe it's too big, Maybe you don't have a good anchor you need to celebrate, or it could mean that you need to revisit your motivation and expectations. For example, maybe your goal was to complete the program in 6 months. Maybe it'll take you a year, which is fine. Again, the goal is to balance your motivation and the difficulty of your habits with your current life. In conclusion, if you establish challenging but manageable habits and stick with them, fluency in New Testament Greek is just a matter of time. I encourage you to implement these tips in your life today. As a reminder, if you've missed the 2 previous videos in this series, there's links to them in the description below. God bless.